name is Brandon Spinner, the Whiskey Weatherman. No matter where you are, it's always whiskey weather.
Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Well, hello and welcome. Happy Tuesday, August 11th. It is 9 o'clock. Apologies. It's 9:01. We were 30 seconds late today because we were dealing with an internet issue. We had whiskey weather here in the Ohio River Valley today. Severe thunderstorms, tornado warnings, knocking out power, some internet issues. But the show must go on, and we are doing it tonight. If you are new here, my name is Brandon Spinner, the Whiskey Weatherman, a TV meteorologist of 13 years, and you've stormed yourself into the Whiskey Weather YouTube channel, the one channel where the forecast is always pouring. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button and subscribe button below. And as I ask every week, where are you at? What's in the Glen? And what's good with you this week? We've got Rick Daigle saying he's got the Still Austin Sonora Wheat Distillery Reserve. Man, how did Rick get one? Lucky son of a gun. Still Austin Nancy's Rye pick from March 2026 and Smoking CAO America for EP Bender. Whiskey Dude's got 30 seconds. Well, when in Rome for me, Still Austin single barrel cast strength. Hell yeah. Some great stuff there. Good evening to our guy Kevin up there. He said, yeah, storms today didn't have too much damage. Yeah, fingers crossed. Did make the joke off the top that it knocked out some power and our internet issues here. Hope everybody is okay and safe, especially after those storms ripping through all the way from the Chicagoland area. I know my family had tornado warnings. They had to get to their basement. Northwest Indiana, the guys over at SLB Drinks, and our guy from Only Drans, Colin Arnold, had to take shelter. I think he had some damage from that, and that came all the way down here in central Kentucky, Indiana. So wherever you're watching from, hope you are safe. Ahmed's got the Still Austin Red Corn in the Glen tonight to start the night, sipping on a 2026 Tanager. I wish. We did sip on it. We'll talk more about that here in a second. ASW Georgia Heartwood for Bourbon, and let's go. Whiskey Weather Circle City Double Oak Bottle Crack tonight. Oh, just cracked it open, Mr. Fantasia, down in Alabama. Joe Unfiltered, what's going on, my man? Good evening. Sipping on some Bomb Burgers 2025. Cole up there in North Dakota. Detling Rye 481 today for John Morgan in Estes Park, Colorado. Oh, we got Bluefish 43. Our guy Russell out in Colorado. Some Root Shoot Single Malt. Keeping it simple with Taylor Small Batch for Patrick, and Happy from Funky Finger Style. Whiskey Weather Evernorth Rye pick, says Kirk. Kirk just got his bottles today. Got to hang out with Kirk a little bit this morning. So we've got some more stuff to discuss. We've got an awesome show for you tonight. So buckle up. We are in for a great one. We have an amazing guest tonight. We are looking forward to this one. We've been talking about this one here behind the scenes for a while. But first things first, let's get to some housekeeping. We've got a lot going on this week. And this week is a barrel pick drop. And here's that 7-day release forecast over the next 7 months, or at least the next 7 bottles. Of course, we're dropping our Still Austin picks this month. Next month, we've got our Western Kentucky pick, then 2 Double Oak Pursuit picks, a rye and a bourbon, a special release in November. And then in December, an Elkwood 11-year-old rye. And speaking of those Still Austin picks, they will release this week. We've got a 4-year-old bourbon, 204 bottles. You are not going to believe the color on this, and I'll show you here in a second. $79.99, and I know that it's a bump up of $5 from the video I released last week, but got a notice from the distributor that was what the actual price is going to be. This is 4 years and 7 months old, 70% white corn, 25% Bracetto rye, and 5% malted barley. And then we've got Still Austin Rye single barrel. Now this is 3 years and 3 months. It might be my favorite pick that we've done in the last year and a half or so. What do you think, Jack?
It's so damn good.
Yeah, I didn't even introduce who we have today. We've got Jack, producer Jack, executive producer Jack to my left, IT guy Ajay Potnick, who
he was putting in work.
Executive IT guy after today. He got us up and running here today. But going back to that rye, so good. 3 years, 3 months old, 119.05 proof. This had a lower yield than the bourbon, despite being a year and a half younger. So
5 of them.
What's up?
I'm buying 5 of them.
I'm buying at least 2 cases. So we've got that dropping later on this week. And by the amount of Patreon hype with this one, I don't even think it's going to make it to EF1 or EF0. So if that's something you're interested in grabbing, make sure to check out the link in the description below for Patreon or YouTube membership. And if you do join YouTube, make sure you send me an email with your information. But tonight, we're actually going to give away a bottle of each. So we're doing that barrel pick release this Friday, but you could be the first one to get it. If you donate $5 tonight, whether that's Venmo or Super Chats, every $5 gains you 1 entry to win a bottle of each of these. We're only going to do 1 giveaway tonight. This is going to be the giveaway, the bourbon, which is called She's from Texas Whiskey Weather. And then choosing Texas Whiskey Weather for the rye. Again, $5 for every super chat you are entered to win. So make sure you are sending that. And if you are going through Venmo, make sure you do not put a comment, just put a period in there as well. Now, before we welcome in our guest, a couple other things. Commonwealth Cause is back with some great prizes this month. 85 tickets as of this evening. The winners will be drawn in about 2 weeks, 2 weeks and 2 days, August 27th. Now, the Pappy Van Winkle lineup is the prize number 1, which is about a $6,000 value, I think we equated it to. But second prize this month, they've upped their game. Their second prize this month, a Double Eagle Very Rare. So could you imagine for $100 winning a Double Eagle Very Rare? And just did a blind review of that with the Eagle Rare 25, Eagle Rare 10, and the Eagle Rare 17 last night. That video is going to be dropping here in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned. Third prize is the Weather Rainbow lineup. Fourth prize, Blanton's lineup, all the way from the B to the S. And then fifth place, in honor of Elmer T. Lee's birthday a week ago from tomorrow, Elmer T. Lee in 5th place. So if you want to enter to win that, $100 could win you the entire Pappy lineup or a Double Eagle Very Rare. And honestly, there's a chance you could win both, because I believe in February, a guy won the second prize and the first prize. Very rare, but still possible. Speaking of rare, we're going to get right to our guest. Amazing dude. Got to meet him at the distillery when we visited to do these barrel picks. Without further ado, our guy, Mr. Emiliano, head distiller at Still Austin. My guy, E, thank you for joining us tonight. It is an honor to have you.
Man, it's always good to be on these things, man. I'm happy to be here. I appreciate the invite. To me, I'm sure I said it when we were together, but I always go where I'm wanted and where I'm asked to be. So, to be here and means somebody wants me around. So, happy to be here.
Brother, I got to get it right out front. The day we spent with you at the distillery was one of the most amazing experiences I've had at a distillery. Jack and Ajay said the same thing. So did Jason and Allie. We had an amazing time there, and a lot of that had to do with the hospitality that you showed us. And I hope the people who are watching this were able to see the video that we released last week with you in it, where we did the behind the scenes at the distillery, so they can understand a little bit more of who you are. But for those who didn't, tell us about how you got to Still Austin, how you got into whiskey, and where that journey all started.
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Austin. I am now one of 3 people on the distilling team, actually from Texas, and one of 2 people who claim Austin as a living kind of space. But I am the only born and raised Austinite on the team. That being said, I come from education background. My entire family is in education, from my father, my uncles, my mother, my grandparents, my wife included, and then myself for a short period of time. I was in education for about 3 years right before COVID hit, teaching high school, doing social studies. And prior to that, and even during my time as a high school teacher, I was working in the liquor stores. So toward the tail end of my retail portion of the spirits industry, I had been working at a liquor store that my cousin opened up in Pflugerville, north of Austin area. And I love teaching, I love education, but it wasn't for me, and I very quickly picked that out during COVID, during that first year of COVID, and had my foot kind of in the doorstep already with a couple of local distilleries. Applied to Garrison Brothers initially, and then got in with the gentleman over at Treaty Oak, Jason Stein and James Sanderson, who are both still very good friends of mine. Um, and they, yeah, took a chance on me. And 5 years later, here I am. So 2 years stint over at Treaty Oak, 3 years here now at Still Austin, and we ain't turning back, baby.
Hell yeah. So what does day to day look like for you as a head distiller at Still Austin?
So very interesting enough. I love how some of these conversations like kind of become full circle, because I had this conversation with one of the night crew guys last night. We are onboarding some new distillers, and I say new, right? New to the team, but with distilling experience. So it's
Yeah.
not really a very tumultuous or like big learning curve, right? So we're onboarding somebody for the night shift, and this is his first week on night shift. So I'm spending the night and I'm doing some things overnight with them. Um, and one of the guys who's like, he's one of our quirky like distillers, and so he comes up and he's like, "Hey, so Emiliano, what does your schedule look like? Is it like 8 to 4, 8 to 5, 9 to 5?" I'm like, on paper it is 8 to 4, but the reality is, I go where I'm needed. So it can be like yesterday and today, where yeah, I come in at 8 a.m. I leave probably at noon, and then I'll come back for another 3, 4, 5 hours, somewhere around 9 or 10 p.m. tonight. And I'll post up and hang out with the night guys for some time, just to for nothing else than just helping out and making sure they feel supported, and making sure our new team member really gets acquainted with the crew and what, excuse me, overnight kind of like duties look like, grain deliveries, stillage. So a day in my life kind of just is like everything, right? All at the same
Yeah.
time. What's the movie? Everything, everywhere, all at
All
once.
at
Just
once.
kind of like, yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm at the Rick Houses a couple days, a few weeks ago. Um, I'm gonna be running the night shift in a couple weeks with some of our newer distillers, training them up, and yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of
An Emiliano of all trades.
that. Yes, and then of course today, right? Like
Yeah.
we have or yesterday we come in, and I'm like, it's gonna be a short morning for me because I'm gonna come in at night, and all of a sudden we're like, oh yeah, we have our tasting panel today. So we tasted out through all of the rest of the releases for the rest of the year, and into some of the new releases coming in at the beginning of 27. Tasting
Wow.
notes, checking in on where the profile development is, making sure we feel comfortable with things, and if not, where can we pivot? And then that was a Monday, right? So
Yeah.
it just keeps on rolling, man.
Yeah. So when you do something like that, are you doing the final tastings, or how often are you doing those tasting panels a year? Is it quarterly? Is it a monthly?
Realistically, we try to make it monthly because everything changes, right, within a month.
Yeah.
So, especially aging in a barrel. So we will get upwards of 7, 8 on a hard day, right? 12 samples, maybe, sample bottles, and we'll pull them out. We'll go through a tasting with them, and it really is, for some of the cases, getting final flavor profiles, right? So whatever you see out for DRS, for rare stock, for the bottled and bond releases, that is in partnership with John, myself, and our head of education, Jason Harry, and then our associate blender, CJ Helms. um, and so it becomes like this kind of team dynamic of profile development, getting the tasting notes together, and then again, like I said, it is really checking in. Okay, do we like where this is going? Do we like how this reacted in this barrel? Is this a scrap? Which not doesn't really happen, right?
Yeah.
But and then do we want to experiment dropping this into another barrel? So that was definitely more so what yesterday was. We worked through about 7 different pours, and finalized tasting notes on a couple of whiskeys, and very excited for what's coming out.
Any teasers?
Um, yeah. Monster Mash 2026
Hell
is
yeah.
very, very good.
I think we got the
Tasting
2024
notes,
right here.
yeah,
Thank
tasting
you.
notes are already finished out. They're already put out and getting shipped off to marketing ether and whatever magic they do with it. But yeah, no, that's ready to go. That's in the books. And then our French oak rye release is happening this weekend, and that was just I think just bottled yesterday or today.
That Rare Stock
Yeah,
8.
rare stock 8.
Yeah. We missed out
Yeah.
by the Rare Stock 7 by literally like 18 hours.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. That was a heartbreaker. I was listening back to the podcast last week or a couple weeks ago. I was like, damn, that's right.
Yeah.
They missed it. Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
day before, But
hmm
everything you guys do is incredible. A lot of people have an issue with Texas whiskey. I know you are a huge advocate of Texas whiskey. Stepping away from Still Austin first, what other Texas whiskeys would you say you're the biggest fan of?
Man. Garrison Brothers is a surpriser for a lot of people. I absolutely adore Garrison Brothers. But I think it's both um you know, in a subjective light, I think it's something that is like very sentimental to myself. But at the same time, I think it also kind of has to do with a little bit of like my cultural background and how we grew up. Just eating from the earth, right? Just like really heavy, dense, spicy oak, chocolate flavor profiles from like down south Texas Mexican culture.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of that barbecue smoke, right?
Yeah.
So Garrison Brothers for sure one. There's a smaller distillery, fairly new, in North San Antonio called Chaplin. They're one of my favorites. Andalusia, I think, and I always say, I think as a spirits distillery is potentially, if not the best distillery in the state of Texas. They make a gin, they make a bourbon, or I'm sorry, not a bourbon. They make a single malt. They made a wheat whiskey. They make a rum. They make a brandy. Just so well rounded. They were the first distillery in the state of Texas to release a bottled and bond whiskey, which is single malt. Then the first distillery in the state of Texas and distillery that I'm familiar with to release a bottled and bond rum, which I had no idea you could do.
Yeah.
And they actually harvested the sugarcane from the back of a very small church in South Texas, that I'm
Wow.
very familiar with. And then we get into smaller, like very very much smaller distilleries. Like Aerodrome is phenomenal. Nate does very good work with his product down in Corpus, and then up here a little bit further north of Austin area, Modisette and Sons. Another single malt is like my preference. So another very small single malt distillery that they
Yeah.
have a lot of really cool whiskeys getting ready to drop. Um, so I'm kind of all over the board. 1845 is another phenomenal one out of Lowry Crossing, which is like Dallas area.
Okay.
Bent out of Louisville, just smack dab in
Yeah.
between DFW. Um, but yeah, just to name drop a few, those are probably some of the ones that, and I know I'm forgetting so many more that
Yeah.
I'll look at it when I get home and I'll be like, damn, I forgot.
Forgot
But
that.
yeah, I'm across Texas, man. I love Texas whiskey. I think we do. I mean, I preach it. I think best whiskey is Texas whiskey. And the awards, the categories, the golds, and making it into the top lists of the year, it speaks for itself. So, yeah.
We got one that popped up, Iron Root. I don't know.
Iron Root. Yeah, see,
Yeah.
again, how could I forget? Yeah, the
Yeah.
the licorice family is phenomenal. I love them. They make phenomenal whiskey.
Yeah.
Oh, and then another one, Keeper Saul is
Okay.
you
I've never
never
heard of that.
guessed it. Yeah, Keeper Saul is the oldest bourbon in the state of Texas. 10 years old, and you never would have thought it. It is a pot still whiskey that they age in wine cellars. They are a vineyard that just so happens to make a little bit of whiskey on the side, and their head
Wow.
distiller is a fucking genius. Dylan Latham is a madman. I
Hell yeah.
absolutely
Hell yeah.
love what he does.
So back to Still Austin. You've mentioned Texas whiskey. There is a Texas heat component, right? We see it right behind you on the wall, the way Texas whiskey ages. Can you explain to the audience the difference within how the whiskey itself ages there compared to a Kentucky or an Ohio, Indiana?
Yeah. So what happens is Texas is very much so like barometric pressure and heat, right? So we have learned in the last at least decade that there's a specific pressure in the atmosphere around Texas, and specifically around like very larger Central Texas area that impacts the way our barrels react and the distillate within it reacts. Um, that being said, on top of that, it is, a steady, sweltering heat here in Texas 340 days of the year.
Yep.
We might get lucky to hit 40 degrees or below, maybe 10 days. Um, Other than that, distilleries across the rest of the nation, from Kentucky all the way to California, they try to recreate some of that climate, right? So we understand and we know now that a lot of Kentucky distilleries, they will create artificial heat within their rick houses. And there's no knock to them. That's how you can help develop the process of that distillate and make it, get to the profile that you want it sooner than what we can do here in Texas. We do not age faster, right? A 2 years, a 2 year, but we do develop profile a little bit quicker. So the vanillins and the molecules that develop profiles and sugars and what you're expecting in a whiskey in Texas
Mm-hmm.
are more so inclined to, in 1 year in Texas, to a 1.5 or potentially 2 year in Kentucky. So that's kind of the barometer that we work with. So for every year in Texas, you potentially look at a 1.5 or 2 year of flavor development in Kentucky or anywhere else in the continental United States.
So that's a good question here from Sabres Buff. What would a Texas bourbon or whiskey taste like around that 10-year-old age statement?
So it can go a lot of different directions, right? So
Yeah.
you can, if you treat it the way, and I won't, I won't out them because I'm not sure if their aging process is public or not. But if you do it the way Garrison Brother does, right? You look at, and depending on which barrel or barrel size, you'll look at a very dense, very very rich chocolate oak candy kind of bomb,
Mhm.
right? If you do it the way that we tend to, the barrels, where we're at a lower entry proof, so we would look at like a 116, 115 entry proof, and we, check on the barrels, we rotate them on their pallets, we palletize barrels. So we bring the high ones low and the low ones high. We do water reduction within the barrels, and we, look at that longer maturation. You can still get something that probably looks a little bit more elegant, a little bit soft, a little bit more inclined to uh, universal palate. And then
Mhm.
if you do it somewhere like Keepersall is the perfect example, where they have a 10 year Texas bourbon that is, I mean, their last proof was 126, but it drank like it was 113, and it's aged in a wine cellar, right? And so
Yeah.
you're naturally going to get that impact from the heat because it's just that hot. But the nights will be cooler enough, and even more so, to where you're going to be able to counteract and balance that profile in the long term. So reality is it could go one of a hundred of different directions. It just
Yeah.
depends on what you like, and it depends on what the distillery and the distillers who operate and take care of those barrels are looking for.
Yeah, and you guys do something a little different when it comes to aging. You guys do that slow proofing,
Mhm.
adding water as it ages. Can you talk a little bit about how that process came about? And I even believe you guys changed the way your entry proof is comparative to the older days.
Yeah, so initially, in the initial batches, John, who's now our master distiller at the time, head distiller, when he was running these batches years ago, right? Almost a decade ago, he was looking at 118 as the entry proof. So still not as high as a lot of Texas distilleries were initially starting at. A lot
Hmm.
of Texas distilleries 10, 15, 20 years ago were like 125, the absolute maximum in the barrel, just to really like get that stripping of flavor profile out of the barrels. Really like ramp up the interaction. The the process then went from 118 to 116 to not really like bastardize that stripping of sugars and of profile from the wood, and to
Yeah.
let it kind of like really work itself out with time. And then through our master blender Nancy Fraley brought in the cognac style of Patillo, or not Patillo, Elevage, which is in
Mhm.
barrel proofing. So cognac, old cognac style cognac goes into the barrel at like 160, 150 proof. Well, over time, you have to get it to drinkable proof. So you then introduce lower or water to lower the proof over time and over the years. And so we started, and adopting that style of aging helps keep the barrels at a proper proof to really, again, extend the lifetime of them and not absolutely strip out all the tannins. Um, and then we able to bottle it at 116 or 115 or 17 proof, and it come out like developing with like really really big bold flavor profiles. I mean, the Monster Mash right now this year is going to be pretty much 117 proof, and it drinks like a 113 but has the flavor profile like you're drinking a 120. It is really really good long-term maturation whiskey.
Yeah. Speaking Monster Mash, I just poured up. I think this is the 2024 Monster Mash.
I believe
Uh,
so,
you
yeah.
talked you talked about it when we were there, but how did that all come together to be the Monster Mash itself? Now that it's a yearly release, but what was that first Monster Mash like?
So John initially, there was a time and place, right, where you're trying to figure out where this brand's going to go. And so you have all these different kind of grains from that are left over from like experimental mash bills. And so John, knowing at least, and or at least having the wherewithal, right, of like what profile was being developed from each grain, and said, okay, I think in these quantities, the way it matches out, we can toss it all together, put it into a batch, distill it, and should be like at least okay. Well, it ended up really fucking good, right? And so we're here now, I think, on the sixth or seventh release of it, and it's one of the, if not a lot of people's favorite release that they actively go out to hunt for on the secondary, or try to make it for the release online. But that's essentially how it began. Since then, it's kind of been very much so a similar philosophy. But now we're really, doing it strategically, where it's like, okay, now we have this mash bill, the original mash bill. What if we swap one type of wheat for another wheat? What if we swap the white corn for the blue corn? What if we swap that white corn for red corn? What if we put a different malted grain instead of this malted grain? So
Yeah.
we now have multiple iterations of this mash bill, and we're just continuing to play with it and build on from it. So
Do you have a favorite of the releases?
yeah, the oh man, what, not 25. Yeah, I think it was the 24 release. That one that you got, that was my favorite. And I think it was a 24. Whichever one, it was a 24 or 25. Um but it was a like near all malted version of the Monster Mash. And a lot of these guys, they're not big malt whiskey drinkers,
Yeah.
but it was my favorite. I loved it. It had a lot of bold, hefty, musty grain profile. I really, really fucking enjoyed it. That was probably my favorite.
Yeah, so this I made a mistake. This was the 2025, but Monster Mash
25, yeah.
2024
So
was
it was
60.
24.
Yeah, so 63% malted white corn,
Yep.
17% malted wheat, 10% malted or 8% malted rye, 2% malted barley, and then 10% regular rye. Yeah,
Yep.
I bet you that's phenomenal. This, I just took a sip of. Ajay grabbed a bottle of it. This is fantastic. Now, you were talking when we were there. Red corn this year. A lot of people complain it's hard to get, and it's not necessarily a purposeful thing. Can you explain why this year's 7-year red corn might be a little bit different than what we see next year?
Yeah. So again, at the beginning of the distillery, right? You're talking about an idea and a kind of just this concept. And so when you're developing these ideas and you don't really know where the market's going to go, right? You take a shot where you think you can and just hope it works. And so at the time, I had said, I remembered I was listening to the video. And so I had said 500 barrels. They actually made only about 250 barrels of that initial batch of red and blue corn individually. So it was 500 total of the two individuals. And, it was kind of like left on the back burner, hoping that it'd age out into something that was enjoyable or worth drinking, and it ended up pretty damn good, right? And so we are now where we have seen the last few of these barrels come into release for the market. We didn't really revisit distilling the red corn and blue corn until I was brought on 3 years ago, and so that year was the first time that we really ever revisited distilling those again. And so we
Yeah.
did, and so now we are actively doing about 500 to 600 ish barrels a year of it, of each of them, and those will be sitting out for another 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. We've got some in French oak, we've got some in Tanola Rio, which are a wine majority cooperage in California.
That's what
They're
we
not wine
were.
finished, but yeah, I remember that's what y'all were able to check out and see. Um, so we got a bunch of different things going on with them, and I can tell you right now, there's going to be a shit load coming out next year, and everybody can be happy about it. It's going to be 4 years again, but it's 4 years at a lower entry proof, which was 116, and it's 4 years of true care and like tendency to the barrels. Um, and at 3 years old, when we tasted them, what earlier this year, it was really promising. It was really, really fucking exciting.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, just patience,
Yes.
Padawan.
Yeah. Well, you guys are still technically a younger distillery, right?
Yeah,
20,
yeah. So 9 years
17.
this year.
Yep.
Yeah. So
2017. September.
that was that was another thing that here comes the red corn release, right? And so you have everybody doing like oh, well, Buffalo Trace releases the Weller at this and this, and it's like, okay, yeah, because Still Austin doesn't like money, right? And we're holding back thousands of bottles because we don't want to sell them. Like, uh, sorry, y'all. If we had the capability to give and get releases out, we absolutely would. We absolutely would.
Yeah.
A lot of people like the whiskey, man. It's good
Mhm.
whiskey. So
Well, good news is when we were there were a lot more blue corn barrels. So if you're a fan of the blue corn, there should be a bigger release, I think. And that video should drop a little bit later because we did do a barrel pick, and we'll get to that here in a second. So you guys have a lot of different releases. You've got your regular musician, and then the artist. You've got your cast strength versions of that. Then you got the bottle and bond series, and then the distillery reserve series, rare stock. And then this one blew up the last couple of years as well. Do you have a favorite release, a favorite product from Still Austin?
like everywhere release line, because release
Both.
line, it's the red corn. Yeah. So then I'll give the both. So for me, it's the red corn. Red corn is the one that every single year I have to get at least a bottle of. I'd love a
Yep.
case, right? We all would love a case of it,
Yeah.
but I would love a bottle of, and I need to get a bottle of that. Um, ever was rare stock number 3. That was my first true um I'll claim it as like my first true like barrel finishing project, only because I told John to take the gamble on it. It was a oated bourbon finished in a malted blue corn bourbon barrel. So we did an oated bourbon now about maybe 6-ish years ago, maybe 7 years ago. Um, Phenomenal release, really good whiskey. But at the time, there was one barrel that had like a very interesting, like sweet burnt ends,
Hmm.
like profile to it.
Yeah.
Um, was okay on the palate, but didn't really work in the whiskey and had like a very barbecuey smell, like aroma, when you popped open the barrel for whatever reason, and it was no fault to the distillation nor the fermentation of it. That was like a barrel fault, right? So that was
Yeah.
strictly one barrel because it was barrel on the same pallet as other barrels that were in the same distillation, same fermentation, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and so when John is like beginning and to work with this rare stock release, he's like, "Well, I got these barrels. I don't know what to do with a few of them. Some are ready, some are not ready. There's one that's like kind of weird." And at the time, we had just dropped or dumped and released the first rare stock, which was the malted blue corn bourbon barrel.
Yeah.
And so I told him, I said, "John, put that oated into that malted blue corn barrel, and if it doesn't get rid of that, like that barbecuey smoke smell with the sweetness of the whiskey, then I'll buy the barrel myself." And so I really took the gamble on it. We
Yeah.
shook on it. We did the whole thing. I really don't think he would have made me pay for it, but that's something we'll never we'll never know.
Yeah.
But it worked out, and it really ended up being what I think a lot of people's like favorite whiskey ever was, from
That's
Still.
awesome.
Yeah, I wish I could have gotten more of it, but it's something that really won't, I don't think will ever be recreated. It was
Yeah.
just kind of like one of those shooting stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, once in a lifetime.
Super unique for sure. Question from a viewer: what would you say, from your experience, is the biggest difference from being at Still Austin to your time when you were at Treaty Oak? Appreciate all you do at Still Austin, and cheers. That's from Mirko Martinez, 6782.
Man, so I'll say this, and I hope I'm not hurting any feelings. I'll say this. Treaty Oak was built to be like a true distillery. It really was. I hope that they're able to get things rolling again. My love's with them. I don't know what their operation looks like right now. But the facility was really truly built to be like a true distillery. One of the biggest glycol systems in the state of Texas. 30 or 3,000 gallon, fermentation tanks, continuous columns still with the doubler, Vendome, still beautiful setup. Um, it was truly built with the intention of like, this is that. We run a tight ship here at Still, and we have everything dialed in to where when something is off. Um, I don't know if I would say we were built to the same capacity of what we, I think, envisioned this like ending up being. We are surpassing by thousands of barrels the like the maximum quote of what the still can operate with. So we have this system running to its absolute like max. It is a foresight still, a little bit different, very, very much more unforgiving with how it operates. I love it for the challenge, but it does, then become a challenge, right? Sometimes.
Yeah.
So um, it's fun, and never would want this to be somebody's first distilling job. I think people who come into still need a different kind of experience before coming here, just to kind of be able to see what things look like, and how again, a really well oiled machine looks like. Um, but I don't think we really knew where the brand or where the product would end up being. I think there
Mhm.
was like thought, there was dreams and envision, like people had could envision it, but I really don't think we were built to that capacity. And we can see it, right? We're running bare bones with this chiller, baby. It is
Yeah.
100 and some odd degrees here right now, and the chiller is struggling. But it's we want to be green, right? So and I appreciate that and respect it. But it really shows, right, where I think we learn and where we can grow moving forward.
Hell yeah. Before we get back into some more questions, I want to give everybody who's already donated for tonight's stream a shout out. We've got Jeff Sawyer, a $10 super chat, $10 from Dwayne Valentine, $10 from Mark McGuire, not the baseball player, $20 from Rick Daigle, $15 from Nick Cross, Dan Deceive. I'm going to guess it's Deceive. Maybe it's Deceive. $5 super chat. Aaron Howard, $20. Greg Irvin, $20. Patrick Bianco, $10. David Holthouse, $10. Damon Howard, $5. $25 from Jacob Morrison. Colin Ziachik, $10 super chat. $20 from Robert Liss. Brian Jones, $5. Jonathan Still, $5. $10 from Adolfo Hernandez. Nick Cross, $15. $25 from Trevor Van Burkham. $10 from Ryan Tiller. Scott Compton, $5. Then Paul Backman, $10 on Venmo. We also have super chats that have popped up. Patrick Baranu, $388, $10 super chat. Russell Fish, $10. Saber Buff, great content. Fingers crossed I get picked. $10 super chat. $10 from Dan Orth. $19.99 from Shane Smith. Tried Still Austin at Total Wine back in the spring. Really enjoyed the cask strength. Kevin rolled $10. My bi-weekly donation to the cause. $10 from EP Bender. Love Still Austin Ryan Bourbon. Hayes and Barrel Craftworks. $20. I'm scoring a bottle of each for sure. What's the limit for EF4 and EF5? We'll talk on that here in a second. Ahmed, $20 super chat. We all know this isn't. We all know it's not bourbon if it's not made in Bourbon County. That's been a popular comment on one of my videos lately. He's making fun of it. Texas doing some amazing things. I know what I'm choosing. Received my t-shirt and tasting board from Frank the Tank. Loving the content. Really hope I can visit Still Austin one day. It is a bucket list for sure. $50 from Frank the Tank. And for those of you who are Patreon members waiting on your gear, I'm trying to crank them out as much as possible. I've been out of town for the last 11 days. You should see what the basement looks like. $10 super chat from Highwayman 8504. Getting ready for all these picks and drops and reorder some post-game gummies. Yes, we'll talk about that here in a second. $10 super chat from Tom White. Loot box from... Oh, boy, we're back to the jewels. I don't know how we... the jewels thing's a new thing a couple weeks ago. Still Austin killing it. About to pop a store pick single barrel because it seems fitting. Love the content and cheers. I gave up my brewzle Patreon so I could keep buying whiskey weather picks. I don't think you're going to hate these Still Austin picks we're about to drop. $10 super chat from Jay Stout. Another $10 from Stephen Fantasia. $20 from Decatur Gators, sipping on your 11-year short barrel. Man, a lot of people chiming in tonight. $5 from Irving Larry, Still Austin Rye, top 5 rye on the market. I think it's a top 3 rye, if not a top rye. $10 super chat from Patrick Burns. Hidman, $10. $5 from Christopher Boyd. Love your channel and what you do. And finally, $5. Let's see if we can make it 3 streams in a row for Jeremiah Stone. And Jeremiah, I'll get your stuff out here later on this week. So for all of that I just read off, that is because tonight's giveaway is a bottle of each, the bourbon and the rye, which will be dropping later on this week. That is the Still Austin Rye and the Still Austin Bourbon Whiskey Weather Barrel pick. The bourbon is a 4-year-old, 7-month bourbon at 110 proof. Y'all, you got to see the color on this. I mean, do I have something? Yeah.
I was going to say, cameras never do it justice.
But, like... This is one of the darkest bourbons I've had. 110 proof. So insane. We're going to sample some of that later on today. And then the 3-year-old rye, which is my favorite barrel that I've picked in the last probably 2 years. So good. I think your rye is probably your best product. Do you like your rye?
I absolutely love our rye. So I won't spoil the barrel, but we just purchased a bunch of barrels to do a barrel finish in.
Ooh.
And we had this conversation yesterday at the end of our tasting panel, and we're over here talking, and we tried the product that was in those barrels from the same batch, the same barrels. Our associate blender was able to go find a specific bottle of it from the exact, so like whatever was in that bottle was in these barrels that we have being shipped over right now. um and we tried it, and John's like, man, we got to put a bourbon in there. And everybody loses their shit because we all know that the rye is like the the peak of experimentation when you come to like finishing barrels. Our rye, I think, is so versatile and is like a Swiss Army knife when it comes to finishing barrels or
Yeah.
experimentation. You can do so many things with our rye. You can drink it straight, you can finish it, you can double oak it, you can triple oak it, which we have a couple of. It is really, really fucking good. So we're gonna do a second finish in these barrels that we're getting, but with the rye. But yeah, we are very excited with what we can do with the rye. I love our rye, and across the board, I've said it multiple times, and I'll keep saying it because I think there's more and more that are coming out. But Texas rye across the board, in Texas, I think there's something that happens with the distillate where rye whiskey needs a little bit more time in that barrel. We are having a like absolute kind of just renaissance of
Yeah.
Texas rye whiskey right now. 4 year all the way up to 7 year old rye whiskey is being released, and it's really fucking cool to see. So
So your rye is a whole lot different than a lot of ryes because of the type of rye grain.
yes.
100% Bracetto rye. For those
Mhm.
at home, what is Bracetto rye? Where's it made?
So Bracetto rye is a Texas variant. I believe it's like originates from Oklahoma, but we have a Texas variant that we grow down here. Um, is supposed to give different profile to the rye than a stereotypical kind of universal rye whiskey. You get a little bit more sweeter notes rather than just like the smack you in the face herbal spice. Because of that, it was initially marketed right as the like bourbon drinkers rye,
Yeah.
and it really has had that kind of like nickname stick because of how versatile it is and how welcoming it is to, you know, a bourbon drinker's palate. So, oh puppy,
Yeah, this is Bailey, the golden doodle.
Bailey, fuck yeah.
She's really
Um,
she's really needy, man.
no, yeah, I feel that. I've had dogs like that before and love it, love it, love it. Um, but yeah, no, so that's the little bit difference with our rye. It is of a unique type. And then the mash bill itself, there's only, I believe, two other distilleries in the state of Texas that I'm familiar with who have done a 100% rye mash bill, one of whom technically was 2 grain because it was two different rye varietals, 50/50. And then another one who I believe it was one rye varietal, but they just distilled it maybe about 2 years ago. So we won't see that one for quite some time.
Yeah, the rye's so delicious. Speaking of, and if you aren't able to get Still Austin where you live, it is available on my website, bottleshop.whiskeywx.com. Jack will toss the link into the comments, but you can also grab that through the link in the description below as well. You guys aren't distributed everywhere, obviously, right? You mentioned it earlier. You guys got a lot bigger than you anticipated, faster. What can we expect over the next couple of years? You now, I think you said last year you started 24/7 distillation. So what does that look like in 3, in 4, and 5 years for distribution and product?
Man, I mean, it's absolute growth, you know. So like again, you got to go back to it, right? So we were built with the intention of like supposedly running 24/7, but I don't really know if at the time we understood what 24/7 looked like. Um, Again, especially with the demand that we're, from the market that and from the consumer that we're having right now. So with that becomes growth, right? Whether it is a new facility or at least building upon the facility that we have right now,
Yeah.
is kind of up in the air right now. We'll see what that looks like. But we are a team running, lack of a better terms, a skeleton crew, right? We're running with the bare minimum that we can as far as manpower, and that is strictly only because we, spread ourselves thin with responsibilities from, some of us go out to market. We have folks over at the rick houses, and then there's always vacation covered, right? So
Yeah.
whatever does get left over as far as like manpower between John, Derek, our plant manager, and myself, it kind of gets rotated in. We'll plug and play as we need be, but we will see growth through the market. We are opening up states. I can't say only because I don't have the knowledge of it off the top of my head, but we are opening up states. I think up to 7 or 8 states, like full free market within the next 2 years. So that's a whole new kind of responsibility, right? And a whole
Yeah.
new reach of consumership. And and markets got to get educated on what the brand is and really what Texas whiskey looks like, right?
Yeah.
The beautiful thing that Chris Seals, our founder, has harped on is that he wants people to speak about Texas whiskey the way that people speak about Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking, apples oranges, right? As far as like generational and history. But we are really talking about something that has revolutionized the market. Everything's plateauing. A lot of people are seeing dips in sales, but Texas whiskey's thriving, right? And to an extent, in the context that people are still purchasing it. Mostly because Texans want to support Texans, right? And then when you have a product that people are harping on and you taste it and it ends up being like that good, more people want it. More people want the reach. And then curiosity gets a hold of you, and you want to go and you want to find the other places around you. You want to find
Yeah.
the hidden gems. You want to find the chaplines. You want to find the Andalusias. You want to find, even the giant Texans. You want to find all these people and these other distillers and support them as well. So
Yeah. Question from Sean: did y'all just bring in a 60-foot column still?
the 60 inch, I think it's 60
Oh, is
inch,
that
right?
60 inch? Okay,
Yeah,
that's
60
very
inch. No, the new, so we do have a second still being furbished right now. Wherever it lands is tentative right now. I believe it's 36, about, so I just about a little bit more than twice the size of the one that we currently have.
okay. So that
Yeah.
should theoretically also increase production over the next couple of
That
years as
would,
well.
yes, absolutely. That realistically, I mean, personally, I don't think that will touch ground as far as getting it up and rolling for at least another 3 years. So again, in the meantime, it's really fine tuning what we have right now,
Mhm.
making sure that the facility that we're running is, tip top, making sure that we can have it, uh, running to its full potential. And we got the crew to do it. We really do. We have guys who know just enough of the mechanisms and have enough curiosity and are enough pains in the asses, right, to really get into elbow deep into the machinery and make sure that we've got
Yeah.
everything cleaned up, everything well oiled. And I mean, the stills graded for, well, I think it's like I think it's like 4,000 barrels a year. We're running almost 7,500 on it, so we're making like beyond the the maximum capacity of
Yeah.
what still can hold. And it's just kind of finding what works and where we can keep it growing. So
Yeah.
growth, growth is all that's
Growing,
happening.
speaking of growing, one of the biggest releases, which came out 2 years ago, the first one, absolute monster and animal, obviously, is the Tanager. When we were there, we talked a little bit about Tanager 3. What is that looking like as we move towards the end of the year? I know that blend has kind of been set. And then you had mentioned some fun stuff potentially for down the road, Tanager was.
Yeah, so we've got Tanager 3, the blend finalized. I think we're letting those barrels kind of continue age out as the summer goes, get some of that like last Texas kiss, right? And last little bit of Texas heat. Um, but the blend is set. We know what barrels are going to go. We know what Patillo is going to go into it, and what Patillo is not going to go into it. Um, and it's going to be a banger release, right? It's closer to the profile of Tanager 1. I can say
Okay.
that, with intention. And it'll come out when it comes out in December, and hope that there's just a little bit more than last year. But
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a banger of a bottle as well. And that's only going to have, I think, one barrel of the red corn because you guys only had 16 left, from what I've been told.
Yeah, there. I don't remember what the ratio of the red corn is to it, but again, yeah, tight release.
Um, what was I going to say? Damn, I was going to have a question off of that, but I forgot it.
Oh,
So
you
you
mentioned
started,
future Tanager, right?
yeah,
Well, so we have an idea, right? John's become a huge fan of French oak whiskey. So what y'all saw a little bit of when y'all came down was, um we have red and blue corn distillate aging in French oak whiskey, 112 entry proof, with the intention of having them cracked open 6, 7, or 8 years, for a French oak tanager.
and those are what were sitting as we walked in,
Yep,
right?
yep,
Yeah.
yep. Yes, sir.
Um, so we're talking a little bit now about barrel picks, right? That's another thing that you guys have really started to take off on, kind of a new program with Christian. Can you explain to the audience what a barrel pick program for you guys looks like and how you guys get to pick those barrels? Like, what makes you go, okay, that's going to be in the single barrel program rather than going towards the artist, towards this, that, and
Mhm.
whatever?
So the I can't necessarily speak upon how those get barrels get picked on. John has, I don't know if it's a lottery. I don't know if it's by choice. I don't know if he throws the spares out, right?
Yeah.
But John takes care of that situation. But what our single barrel program looks like is you go to the distillery, you go to the rick houses, sometimes one or the other, sometimes both. You get lucked out, and Christian puts on a show for you, right? You get introduced with all these different barrels. He walks around, gives you a tour. Our dynamic duo, our army of two over at the Rick Houses, Bam and Ryan, do the whole tap dance and show for everybody. Get to crack out some really cool samples and pours. And then you go and sit down, you really enjoy yourself and take time, and often 4 or 5 samples of different barrels, depending on which one you're picking.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe a little bit more, but yeah, and then you come to consolidating on a barrel.
Yeah.
But it really is a show that Christian's got pretty dialed in. He's done a phenomenal job. I mean, I say this, right, it's like, it's not hard to sell Still Austin, but you
Yeah.
still got to be a salesman, right? And Christian is a fucking showstopper. I love what he does. And at Treaty Oak, I was responsible for the barrel pick program, so I'm familiar with
Yeah.
styles of doing it. and I've really come to appreciate what Christian does. If I ever to get back to doing some kind of version of a barrel pick program with myself, uh, I would only hope that I can, model it as well as he does. Says
Yeah.
he does
Well,
a phenomenal job.
that's one thing we noticed when we were there. It's the people, you can tell that they really care about the craft and the distillery. It's not just a job to them, it's like a passion project. And Christian was just a great ambassador for the brand, just like yourself. Like I said, those 2 days we spent there, we didn't want to leave. And you don't necessarily say that for every distillery you go to. Sometimes you're like, yeah, I'm cashed out. We wanted to soak up as much as we could, and we were like, yeah, well, do we have to leave? um,
Yeah.
I remember my question. You mentioned Petito, Nancy Fraley, amazing whiskey knowledge as well as cognac and Armagnac knowledge. What is it like to work with her and the Petito process and all the different intricacies that she brings to Still Austin?
Man, it really is watching like Picasso at work, right? Like it really is. I mean, I think we all, as you grow in this industry, if you care about enough, you find your niches, right? Your specialties. You can become beautiful blender or taster or distiller or really good at barrel finishing, right? um what Nancy does when it comes to blending, I mean, it again, it's watching Picasso at work. It's
Yeah.
just doing her flowing through when she gets in that flow is just astonishing. It really is magical. And then at the same time, you got to give credit to her capability to teach and to educate, right? Now, below or alongside with her, she's graduated, I think, like four people into master distillership, and she's currently training upwards of, I think, like five other people who are head distillers or head blenders in their own right. John being one of them. He is currently essentially our head blender,
Yeah.
and is consistently been working alongside Nancy for the past 6, 7, 8 years, fine tuning his own craft, his own skill. And I'm sure in the next, who knows how many years, but he'll be anointed the master blender positionship as well. But it's a craft. It's
Yeah.
crazy to see. I had the honor to sit in with her and John year ago, I think, and run through 130 odd samples of barrels in hour and a half. And you just go, and she'll call time when she wants to, when she finds like a particular barrel that is really interesting, and then it's like start the clock up again, you're just rolling. But the amount of knowledge that she has is astonishing. The capability for her to bring some of that cognac practice into the whiskey world is beautiful. And again, her credit to her, as an educator myself,
Mhm.
her capability to educate and to mentor and to teach people her style and her way and train of thought is, I mean, it's beautiful. It's you,
What
you
is
really
the
get to like a loss of words.
Yeah? What is the your favorite thing or the biggest thing that you have learned from her?
Oh man, I think, and it's interesting because I learned a style of blending from someone who worked with Treaty Oak quite some time ago. But I really think it is like the ABC barrels, right? And so it's not ABC a grading system. It is a barrel that is like well rounded, has everything you could look for. B is like barrel that might be missing one component, and then C is like a barrel that either needs maturation or can be, you know, doing some of the lighter lifting in the blend, and really picking out and learning how she operates her blends with like within her own kind of scope of education and practice. So I really think it is, the biggest thing I've grabbed and learned from her is just the style in which her blending kind of takes play in the world of, whiskey and profile development.
That's awesome. You just love hearing the different intricacies on how everybody works together, and especially a mind or a nose or a palate like Nancy, and how that education from her to help everybody else goes about. What is one thing that you would want to be better at as a distiller, or is within the whiskey world?
Man, I'd probably say um I have a good grasp of conceptualizing barrel finishes. I think being able to conceptualize mash bills is something that I would like a little bit more practice with.
Mhm.
Thankfully, I've been given some of the reins to really work with mash bill development.
Yeah,
So with that comes practice, and with that comes fucking up, right? So
yeah.
um, I think that's something that I'd like to hone in on and really, really be able to dive into. I know I can do that work here. I know I have friends across the state who have done different distillation styles of different grain as well. So I'd like to pick their brains as well and, trade knowledge. But I think that would probably be something I'd like to really hone in on as a distiller going down.
Do you have a favorite grain to work with?
Red corn.
Red
Jimmy,
corn.
Bloody Butcher. I want to work with Flint corn, but red corn. I love Bloody Butcher. I love Jimmy Red. Yeah, absolutely. Red corn.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Anything else that we haven't talked on that you think is important about yourself, about Still Austin? Where can people find you at personally? I know that you have a huge, not, you would probably be modest and say it's not huge, but I think you've got a great Instagram page that people can follow and learn. You do live streams every once in a while yourself. So where can people find you, and what else do you think that they should know about yourself and Still Austin?
Well, I am El Whiskilero on Instagram. I really just kind of like stick to Instagram, the spreading the web, right? No pun intended, of the internet. It's just a lot. So
Yeah.
I stay in my lane. Instagram's good for me. It does good for the whiskey community. Um, as far as myself, man, I think, less so about myself, but more so about the Texas whiskey community. The Texas whiskey community is very inviting, but it is very unforgiving, right? So come in with open heart and open mind, be able to sit down and have a conversation about the whiskey. Don't don't belittle something before you try it and before you learn why it was made the way it was, or before you understand um the the concept of the idea behind it from the distiller. We really are, you know, we're in our teenage years, right? We're really, bucking up and putting out some good whiskey. But with that comes, the bumps and bruises of growing pains and learning what works and what doesn't. But Texas whiskey community, we've got a good thing going. We will be celebrating 10 years of the Texas Whiskey Festival next year, and we will be celebrating 10 years of Still Awesome next year, right? And
Yeah.
we've got a lot moving forward in Texas and at Still Austin. And, come and check us out, leave with some bottles, make some friends, and drink more Texas whiskey.
And speaking of that, you mentioned your 10-year anniversary there, but you also are opening up a brand new, is it a tasting room, an experiential deal there? I think that just released a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so it is a four kind of in one building. There's a definitely like a DJ's tap room, a lounge area, then a private music venue, and then a private social kind of club area within the facility. It is absolutely beautiful. be be ready to come and check it out in September when it opens. We're staffing it up right now, and we're training folks on the system over there.
Yeah.
But it absolutely is beautiful. It's one of those, kind of mad scientist, you know, ideas from Chris Seals, our CEO and founder, and credit to him and credit to the people who really busted their ass trying to get this thing together, because it is absolutely phenomenal. It is a beautiful venue, and I'm really excited to get it going. But yeah, September.
Yeah, where is that going to be located at comparative to the distillery itself?
So it is right behind. So from entering where the tap room and where
Oh,
the patio is, you can walk through the patio into that building. Yeah, it is right there.
okay. That makes a whole lot more sense. I wasn't sure if that was going to be downtown or if that was
No,
going to
no, no, no.
be
We're bringing the
okay.
downtown to South Austin. Yeah, it is, yeah, it is that. So that is the front of the building that will be coming in from the what is called the Willow Springs Road, which is the road right behind the distillery. Um,
Okay.
and that is essentially the main entrance. So if you see the tower behind it, that is actually the still. So that's where the still is, the tower.
And that's
So
where you would see the name on the building then.
yes, the name would be on the other side, but yes, you would.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
where it is. Yep.
From the parking lot side of things. Okay. Okay. And then yeah, I'm trying to pull up more photos. There you go. They've got the is that the
Yeah. So
bar?
that is actually the private music venue. It's gonna have multiple, variations depending on what it's gonna be booked for that night. So that would be that same room right there. So that
Okay.
is gonna be there's a stage right there. It's got a beautiful green room right in behind it. But that the two pictures that you just saw, this one and the one prior, they're the same room right there. Yep.
Okay. And then this is like the
This is
lounge.
the room that you enter. Yeah, so this is essentially the lounging space. This right here is going to be where you kind of enter one way or another and have the full kind of lounge experience. I believe there's another entrance to the actual DJ room. But yeah, coming in, this will be usually your first experience, and then you'll kind of meander and find your way to the next kind of rooms going through the whole thing. And if you were able to walk through the kitchen and do the full circle, you get really, really disoriented really fast, just because of how kind of massive this space is. So this
Yeah,
room right there,
this is just a
yeah.
loop of all of it.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah. So this DJ room right here, um,
that one.
that is, yep, that one is connected to the lounge space via kind of like a side entrance, and it's supposed to have a completely different vibe, music consistently going, a 50-foot bar that is absolutely massive, and creates this like very strange optical illusion where if you stand on one end and you have the bartender on the other, they look like tiny. It's insane, but it is absolutely beautiful. All of the vinyls that you see in the concept art are
Yeah.
going to actually be true vinyls. There's about, I think, 5 to 6 thousand unique original vinyls from artists who have played in Austin
Hmm,
over the years.
that's awesome.
Wow. So you know what that means is I guess we just need to make another trip down to Austin here within the next couple of months. Not only to do
More
that, to
single
go get
barrels,
some,
baby.
yeah, more single barrels, more DRSs, and maybe finally we'll be there when a rare stock or an order of Nancy or Nancy's pick releases. Yeah, Texas Whiskey Fest. That's in April next year too, right?
April
So
17th. It is a
April
Saturday
7th.
of next
All
year.
right.
17th. Yep.
I'll say he already took the day off, so he's ready for it.
There you go. There you go.
So last question for you, not from me, but I do this thing where I have the previous guest ask the next guest a question. Don't know who it's going to be for, but they ask a question. This one coming from one of the owners of River Roots, and this was his question for you.
Your last meal? You're on death row. What's the last meal that you're eating?
So that is
God
Ryan
damn it.
from River Roots.
Oh man.
It's got to be something Texas, I would assume, being that
Yeah.
you're Mr. Texas.
Give me a 24-hour slow, cold smoke cooked brisket, nopal salad, homemade enchiladas from my wife.
Stumped me.
Nothing dessert. Absolutely no dessert.
No.
Just savory. Just give me all savory.
Yeah.
And then probably to wash it down, a sopa. Homemade my wife makes just absolutely just beautiful sopa. So all carb heavy, all savory. Give it to me. And then like one of the best, whatever Texas whiskey you have, give me a bottle of it. We'll put it down.
Well, and that just jumps to a different question from me. I said that was going to be the last question. I lied. I'm sorry. Someone coming to visit Austin. It is a beautiful city, an amazing city. But if they had to plan the perfect trip after they come and visit y'all at Still Austin, what are the top 3 things they need to do, eat, go to when they're visiting?
Mi Tradición is a panaderia, so it's a sweetbread store that has a restaurant attached to it. It is in the William Canyon Shopping Center where the Academy and Whataburger are. But that is the most authentic Mexican food in Austin. I would recommend going breakfast there. Get a huarache, pastor. Then for lunch, do Terry Black's or Sam's Barbecue, one of the two. If either are too packed or busy, La Barbecue, even though they'll probably be more busy, but you got to hit one of the three. Then do dinner at potentially either Emmer and Rye or not the Golden Goose, Odd Duck.
Odd Duck.
And then come to the Still Austin Quarter for your after hours.
Yeah, hell yeah. Because normally you guys would close a little bit earlier, but not. What time is that going to be off till?
I think it's TBD, but I can
TBD.
only imagine how late they're gonna be wanting to stay open. You got to.
I was going to say, we went to the Redheaded Stepchild right there. I think that's off of 5th or 6th Street, and we had a really good time. It was a cool little, almost Gothic-esque kind of bar, which was a cool little speakeasy. But now that you guys are going to have the Quarter, I think that is the must-stop for sure. Emiliano, thank you so much. But now I have to have you ask the next guest a question. I know it's probably the toughest thing I am asking you to do this entire night. Doesn't have to be bourbon whiskey related. It could be life related. It could be food related, just like we had with you.
If you had to drop out of the spirits industry, what would be your next kind of life voyage? What would be the next step in your life? If you had to take today, this is the last day, you're never working in the spirits industry again. What's that next step for you?
That's a hell of a question. What would that answer be for yourself?
Man, I'd probably go down South Texas or family friend, or not family friend, my wife's family's land in Mexico and just, farm, grain, goats, citrus, just farm.
Hell yeah. My man, Emiliano, it has been an absolute pleasure having you here on the Whiskey Weather YouTube channel. Loved getting to know you when we were there. I consider you one of my really good friends already, even though we've only chatted a handful of times. Just kindred spirits. You are one of the most welcoming, outgoing, and amazing people I've ever met in this industry. And I want to thank you for taking the time tonight. I think the people in the comment section would agree. It has been an absolute pleasure having you here. One last thing, where we can find you again on Instagram and how they can get a hold of you if they ever come down to Still Austin to visit.
El Whiskylero on Instagram. Oh, that's right. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah,
I'm working on merch shirts. I don't know. We'll see.
There we go.
But El Whiskylero on Instagram. Just reach out if I don't get to answer you immediately. It's just because your message got stuck in the request. I'm still trying to I'm getting these messages really fast. So I actually, somebody who just watched the YouTube that you released last week hit me up this morning about being excited about being on here. I don't remember who it is, but somebody reached out to me this morning about it. So yeah, reach out to me. I will respond. Do not have a huge page. I love to say that the people who follow me are the people that matter, and the people who matter to me as far as what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to teach when it comes to Texas whiskey and the larger kind of spirits industry. So yeah, reach out to me. And then as if you ever stop by, ask for me, maybe. The
Yeah.
bartenders are like, I call them my linemen, even though they're all very small in stature men and women. But yeah,
Yeah.
they're my first line of defense. But
Yeah.
they'll reach out if there is somebody that, if I am on site. I'd love to chat, man. I'm here to educate. I'm here to talk, and I want people to experience Texas whiskey the way that I experience it. I know palates are different, but
Yeah.
we've got a lot to give here. So,
Brother, it's been an absolute pleasure. I can't thank you enough for joining us tonight. But I know you got stuff to do. You're at work, so thank you so much.
I appreciate it, man.
I can't wait to get back down and visit you and get to
100%.
see the quarter and all that. So, and if you ever find yourself up here in Cincinnati, know you got a spot to stay and you got a home for you away from home.
Love it. Appreciate y'all.
Cheers,
Take it
man.
forever.
Be good.
Salud.
Be good. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and salud, my man. All righty. Awesome time with Emiliano. Like I said, I wasn't blowing smoke up his ass. It was one of my favorite distillery visits and tours I have ever been on. Ali had the exact same thoughts. We didn't want to leave. Ajay and Jack the same way as well. So an absolute amazing dude that I hope you guys all enjoyed everything he had to say. There is probably no bigger Texas whiskey fan that I've ever met than that guy. Awesome. Miracle Martinez, if you make it to to Still Austin soon, like in the fall, of Texas Longhorn tickets for you. Oh, hook 'em. Yeah, thanks, Emiliano. Whiskero, Still Austin Cask Strength Rye is my favorite. Speaking of, let's do the Cask Strength Rye Whiskey Weather single barrel. We'll do some tasting notes. So this was distilled March 7th of 2023. It was bottled on June 7th of 2026. So 3 years, 3 months old, right on the dot. You wouldn't know it by the flavor. And it's been so hot here that the lights are finally starting to flicker. That hasn't happened in about a year. But the notes on this one, I remember being just so sweet and delicious with a little bit of that rye spice, like a vanilla buttercream right up front. I'm not shitting you. This is my favorite rye I've had, and this might be my favorite barrel pick I've ever done. You guys have been on a handful of my barrel picks. Not only was the experience great, what did you think about the whiskey?
So damn good.
Yeah. Yeah, that was one that we weren't necessarily unanimous on because they were all really good. They all had their own unique qualities. There's a little smoky funk to this on the nose, but it's not like a bad funk. It's got that. I almost like to say when I drink their rye whiskey, it would be what I would expect like aloe vera to taste like, if that makes sense. Not that you're drinking aloe vera, but it's got this like citrusy herbalness to it. On the notes, I had vanilla buttercream, slight smoky, cherry on the nose, and herbal. Gave the nose a 1.8. Palate soft with that aloe being there with more vanilla. I even wrote the word beautiful on it, which is not something that I use quite a bit. That comes out to a 1.8 as well. So that's a 3.6 out of 4. Mouthfeel, super oily, just delicious and viscous. That got a 1.7. There was a little bit of an oatiness to it on the finish I wrote, and I get that now. almost like a malted oat with some oak to it and some spice, but not overpowering spice. It's more of like a sweet spice rather than that rye spice. You wouldn't guess that this was a rye whiskey by the spice off of it. That got a 1.7, so 1.8, 1.8, 1.7, 1.7, and then the value also got a 1.7 at $79.99. So quick math, 3.6 plus 1. That's 3.4. That's a 7. That comes out to an 8.7 out of 10. Which is one of the highest single barrels I've ever rated. I think the only one I've ever rated higher was the first Buckner's 15 I did. As for the bourbon, let's get into that. Again, these will both be for sale later this week. Patreon members first, and the amount of Patreon members that have joined in the last couple of weeks after this announcement, I doubt that this is really going to make it far, but 204 bottles of the bourbon. That is a mash bill of 70% corn, 25% Prosecco rye, and 5% malted barley. The bourbon's 4 years, 7 months old. That is a lower proof, but look at the color on this. And that is where the
hold up the GTS to it. Come on.
Like, oh, the GTS. Yeah. For perspective, this is was it last year's a 15-year-old George T. Stagg? It's the same color, if not darker. Absolutely wild. When we picked it, we all were like, look at the color on that thing.
It was funny too because we had what, 4 or 5?
There were 4.
And like the first 2 were like normal color whiskey.
And then this one.
In the gun, that's crazy. And the last one was like, what the hell is in glass for?
Yeah, what is in glass for and why is it so dark? That one, a 1.8 on the nose. This one has a lot of vanilla frosting, like a buttercream frosting. Dark chocolate. I wrote some mocha in there and a cola note that really is like a spicy cola, almost like an RC cola or like not necessarily Coca-Cola, but 1.8 might even be a little low on the nose. That buttercream, man, vanilla buttercream frosting. That is just so viscous and oily. 1.8 on the mouthfeel, 1.7 on the flavor. I will say the one part of it, if I had to be really critical of it, was the finish was a little shorter, especially comparative to the rye, with some oak sweetness, a little bit of heat, but not too spicy. That got a 1.6, and then again a 1.7 on the finish. So 1.8, 1.7, 1.8, 1.6, 1.7. I think that comes out to the exact same score, 8.7, if I did it right. So these will both be for sale this week. So the bourbon, 204 bottles, a little higher yield. The rye, 168 bottles. EF4 and EF5, where there was a question earlier of what the limit is going to be on that. EF4, EF5, we will talk about that a little bit later on this week. But it is going to be very limited to get out there. So EF1, you may get some bottles there. I don't think it's going to make the EF0 or the public this time, or even the free storm chasers. So if you are interested in these picks, they're going to go very quickly, especially that rye. But I mean, that bourbon is, for perspective, Allie never buys any of my barrel picks because she's like, I'll just drink some of yours. She goes, I need to have a bottle of both, and I might need 2 of both for that perspective. But yeah, absolutely delicious. I do want to get into the Monster Mash Ajay brought over. This is the 2025 Monster Mash, which is made up of 28% malted white corn, 23% white corn, 28% malted wheat, 13% malted rye, and 8% malted barley. I'll pour that up, and then let's talk a little bit about the Super Chats and the Venmos that came through. And I'm going to rate and review this one. These are all $99, at least for the MSRP. That is what we will be rating that one on. I'm not even going to write all that down because there's so much to it. This one was bottled at 112 proof, and it says at least 4 years old on the back. So Monster Mash, Still Austin, 2025. That would have been like DRS 19, I think, or 18. But Super Chats that have come through since we did that last update. We've got a handful of them. Oh, wow. Well, we got to go back down. David Sakitsky, $10 Super Chat. James Lynn, $5. Damon Howard, another $5. $5 from Robert McDonald. Mike Lawson, $25 Super Chat. Damon Howard, another $10. David D'Amato, the second $25 super chat. $10 again from Damon Howard, and another $10 from Damon Howard, and then Jonathan Kiley, $10. James William, $5. Brandon Wiles, another $5 coming through, and then Michael Bedolia, $5 super chat. And then over on the super chats, we have more jewels. I don't know how that works. We're not doing jewels. $20 from Dirty Phil. Love Still Austin. Wish I could find more of the selection in Alabama. I have a buddy that drives a truck looking out for bottles for me anytime he drives through Texas. Well, good news, Dirty Phil. You are a YouTube member. I don't know if I have your email. If not, email me all of your information, t-shirt size, what level you are, as well as your email address, so I can make sure you are getting the emails as these drop later on this week. And also, as I mentioned earlier, you can get the Still Austin Cask Strength Rye, the regular rye, the Cask Strength Bourbon, and the regular bourbon on my website, bottleshop.whiskeyweather.com. Rebecca Christensen, $20 super chat. $10 from Dave Ellis. Looking forward to trying my first Still Austin bottles. $5 from Jessica Jones. Vegas Truckers sent Goat Trophy. $20 from Antique 1576. Everything Bigger in Texas from Aaron Vickers, $10 super chat. Jeremy Purse, $5. Ahmed, great stream. Can't wait to make it down to Austin sometime. I've been enjoying the interview live streams. Interested in seeing who is next. Yeah, not 100% sure yet who that is going to be. I do have a couple irons in the fire on that one, but stay tuned. We've got a lot coming up over the next couple of weeks. Some live streams in 2 weeks. A couple weeks after that is going to be Kentucky Bourbon Festival, so get ready for that. If you are a Patreon member heading there, or if you're in the area, stay tuned. We may have some information on that. Barrel picks. What else have we got? Oh, this Thursday, I'm going to be on the Pursuit United Bourbon Pursuit podcast from the guys over there behind Bourbon Pursuit and all of that. So with Kenny and Ryan on Thursday. If you're in the area, I believe they're doing a live studio audience. If you're going to be there, that should be at 11 to about 12:30 in the afternoon. So come on down, come say hi, but that will likely be on the Bourbon Pursuit podcast at a future date. Don't know exactly when that'll drop, but that's going on this week. And, stay tuned. Mark October 11th on your calendar, Sunday, October 11th. You're going to want to be in the Cincinnati area for that. So keep that in your mind, and we'll touch on that as we get a little bit closer and have more information out for that as well. But let's get into the Monster Mash. As I mentioned, this is a Monster Mash that comes in at 28% malted white corn, 23% white corn, 28% malted wheat, 13% malted rye, and 8% malted barley. This does have that, like, what would you call that? It almost looks like Groot, kind of. A monster on a tricycle. With, tree monster. A tree monster on a tricycle. Oh, man, it's got some nice cherry to it. A little bit of like that vanilla buttercream note I get on almost every one of their products. And a little hint of that Texas funk, but I will say Still Austin does the best job of removing that like real Texas just weirdness to it. And I apologize on all the flashing because it is kind of warm in here. So the nose, man, I'm going to give that a 1.8 as well. Vanilla buttercream galore. There's like it's a cherry cobbler. There's like a butter crust vibe to that. Some brown sugars. That one is phenomenal on the nose. I think my favorite DRS release that I've tried is the Turkey Vulture bottle that you let me borrow. Not as sweet on the palate as I got off the nose, but it's still absolutely delicious. There was only 1,100 and I think that says 94 bottles. It's either 44 or 94. At least 4 years old. Nice oily, viscous mouthfeel. It also gets like a 1.8. I'll say the flavors are 1.6 because it's not quite as sweet as I anticipated it to be. Still, the nice buttercreams. The cherries there, not quite as strong or as sweet. That That buttery flavor from the nose does carry over. It's like an oily, buttery viscousness. 1.6. The finish is going to get a 1.6 as well. There's a nice spice to it. It's medium in length. I wouldn't say it keeps going, but that is delicious. And at $99.99, I think that that's going to get a 1.6 as well. I think I probably wish to see it closer to $80 if I was being nitpicky. But 1.8, 1.6, 1.8, 1.6, 1.6 comes out to an 8.4 out of 10 for the 2025 Monster Mash. I will say I don't think I've had anything from Still Austin that I didn't like. We tried some funky stuff when we were there. It was just so odd. We tried an oated bourbon. I think that was just a single barrel for Total Wine there in Texas. I'm a huge Still Austin fan. I've had a couple Order of Nancy bottles that Trenton from SLB Drinks brought over to a get-together a couple months ago. I'm a huge Still Austin fan. I haven't found anything that I absolutely hated yet. I know a lot of people probably complain about the price, but in today's day and age, when you're getting quality, I think price really doesn't matter, like to a certain extent. Like certainly, that's why I have the value score. If something's $80 and something's $50 and they taste the same, you're going to be buying the $50 bottle. But let's just double check on any more. Vulture bottle is insane. Yeah, it's buttery, flaky crust. Sure is. Yeah, don't forget to hit that like button. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We also have the Discord, which I think we're getting close to 1,000 members there. So Jack's got that link in the description as well here in the comments. And we also have a Facebook community. So if you're on Facebook and you haven't joined that as well, that is also, I believe, in the description below. As for Super Chats, let's see. Yep. Nothing there yet. Let's double check. Yep. And then over on Venmo, Brandon Wild, Michael Bedola, and then Chris Marshall coming in here at the end with a $10 super chat. So let's get right on into that giveaway. Huge giveaway tonight. It is going to be for, again, one giveaway, and that is going to be the first person to win a bottle of the bourbon and the rye Still Austin barrel picks tonight is going to be the first one to get it. I haven't even got my bottles yet. I've got the sample bottles. 2 8.7s, I guess, is what we came out to be here. So absolutely phenomenal. And Lee Hughes, who's a Patreon member, he sent me, I bought a bottle from him of a Total Wine. No, it was an MB Liquors pick. And he said it was his favorite Still Austin rye pick that he's ever had. Allie and I tried it next to ours. And I know that you're probably going to say there's some bias. We both were like, we'd take this one over the MB Liquors. So really excited for that to drop and excited for whoever wins this. So let's get this shared and ready to go. How many entries do we have? We go from 1 all the way to 161 total entries. Let's just one last second, double check. No additional entries. That is it. We are going to go. So 8.7. We're going to roll it 9 times. No, just kidding. Jack's like, you're going to kill me.
No, we're not.
21 times.
So we did 3 reviews here on the table, but this is the 7th. No, you know what? We're going to do it 7 times just because it's 7-year red corn. Jack's going to kill me for that. But 161, and we're only doing 1 giveaway tonight. So let's randomize it a little bit more. Still Austin, Sib, bourbon, and rye.
Wow. Number 1 is 161.
Number 1 is 161. I don't know if we've ever had number 1 or the final number pulled. 82. 129. Number 9. That's a low number. Number 45. That is the 5th number. We've got 2 more rolls coming in at 6. The runner-up. 0% processed. 41. And the winner of both the bourbon and the rye single barrel from Still Austin, number 57. And that is Aaron Howard. Congrats to Aaron Howard. Aaron, I don't know if I have your information, but I appreciate your support. Send me over an email to brandon@whiskeywx.com and send that with your address and all that other information that I would need. And I'll get that sent to you by Friday. Well, at least it will be ordered by Friday because the barrel pick should be going on sale on Friday, and it'll likely sell out probably faster than any other picks have before. So go check that out if you haven't done so already. Link in the description below. Patreon members and YouTube members will get first access. Again, if you are a YouTube member, I can't get access to your information through YouTube, so you're going to have to email me your email as well as your address for your membership gear. Depending on what tier you are in. YouTube makes it a little harder to get that information opposed to Patreon. So if you are a YouTube member and you haven't sent me an email yet and you want access to these barrels, you're going to have to email me so I have your information. Big shout out and thank you to each and every one of you all for watching this entire stream tonight. We've had a ton of folks in here. Really hope you enjoyed that interview with Emiliano. Awesome dude. And if you ever get down to Still Austin in Texas, I know he's going to give you a great day there. So big shout out to him for joining us. Thank you to Ajay and Jack for making this stream possible, as well as y'all for behind the screen and continuing to support the channel by viewing and consuming this content. So if you haven't done so already, hit that like button below. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button below already, I don't know why you haven't if you made it this far into the video, but do that as well. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And if you want to learn more about Still Austin, I dropped a video last Thursday about our behind the scenes tour of Still Austin. You can check that up there on the top right of your screen if you are watching this in a replay. If you are watching it live, it is in the link in the description below. I'll remind you, please always remember to drink responsibly. Tonight, we were brought to you by Hang Light Gummies. You can get 10% off with Brandon 10 in the link in the comments or the description below. Please remember to drink responsibly. It is always whiskey weather, and we'll see you in that behind the scenes video up there. Cheers, y'all. Have a great rest of your night.